So I think we're live. I'm just gonna do before we get started. Everyone just want to say like a quick little hello to everyone. It's like little wave. You don't have to unmute yourself if you don't want to. I know it's like hello, cool. So first of all, thank you to all the artists and for everyone who is tuning in from around the world. I'm really excited to be here with you all. 1 second. And I'm excited to be here with you all. And I just want to open up with a thank you to our city partners, the Mayor's Office for Women's Advancement and the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture for allowing us to get together and for me to host these wonderful, lovely artists. So first of all, before we get started, I just want to let you know that some of the content in this series includes topics that are particularly sensitive or include strong language. We believe it is important of providing space for artistic expression and in the power of poetry as a means of engaging with important topics. We encourage you to initiate conversations with your community. If any of the content moves you, or to do so, take place in a moment to reflect if you feel the need to. To learn more about these poets, we'll be posting their links to their books, their pages, their work, and we'll be posting that on the live directly. And I also believe we're going to follow up later with more information. And then the second thing, before we even get started, I want to be cognizant of the land that we are speaking on, that we are living on. And so the city of Boston in particular is on stolen land. We are on the land of the Wampanoag tribe. And I want to acknowledge that first and foremost, to pay respects and to put out into the world that hopefully the people who own this land will be able to get their land back someday. So today we are here to talk about access and accessibility. I'm not going to take too much of your time because we're not here for me. We're really here to hear these lovely artists present their work. So without further ado, I'm just gonna like kick it off. How are we feeling? So I'm gonna start with Kay. So I'm just gonna pull up their lovely bio. I always want to like put like personal anecdotes first, and I'm like, no, this person worked hard for this bio. We're gonna read the whole thing. Pay respects because this is important work. So I want to honor that, and then I'll say some like quick little notes about people's work. So Kay Ulande Barrett, pronouns they them. Named one of 9 transgender and gender nonconforming writers you should know by Vogue. Is a poet, performer, and cultural strategist. Kay has featured at the Lincoln Center, the UN, Symphony Space, Princeton University, the Tuscan Poetry Festival, the Dodge Poetry Foundation, the Hemispheric Institute, and the Brooklyn Museum. They are 2-time Pushcart Prize nominee, Best of the Net Split This Rock 2019 nominee, and the 2019 Curios Literary Honoree by them and Condé Nast. They've been offered fellowships and residencies from Landon Literary Review, Bona Voices, Monsoon Arts, VCC, and Macondo. Sorry. They have served on boards, panels, and committees for the Transgender Law Center, the Leeway Foundation, Residence Artists, the Disability Justice Collective, the Trans Justice Funding Project. They were the guest editor for Nat Root and guest facility for the Poetry Foundation. Their contributions are found in the New York Times, Academy of American Poets, BuzzFeed, Asian American Literary Review, PBS NewsHour, Friction, Face, Race Forward, Nylon, The Huffington Post, Bitch Magazine, The Advocate, and more. More Than Organs, published in 2020 by Sibling Rivalry Press, is their second collection. Currently, Kay lives outside of NYC area with his Jolly dog and remixes his mama's recipes whenever possible. Wow, I can't wait to hear this poem. I met this poet at Pink Door. I had to put this little season on it. I met this poet at Pink Door, and the work changed my life. And I'm so glad to be able to share community with them and to just like this book, I know it's gonna like shut it down. So I can't wait to hear them read through it. Without further ado, Kay and Ulende there.
Hey, everybody, y'all see me? I want to apologize first and foremost. I'm having COVID here, so I have some wings. So if you all in the chats and you're relating to this disruption, please let me know. So I'm just going to kick it off. But first, I just want to thank Golden, and I would just like to do 3 breaths. Normally, I do this thing called Anisang Bagsak, which means the one clap, one hit to unite us. So if I can just have y'all just do 3 breaths. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. All right, so I'm gonna kick it off. I love food, so let's kick it with a food poem. This poem is new, it's called Artichoke. Lessons you offer, how one can be prickly, tender, how to work, how to scrape, how to green and green, yet on the inside, how to purple, how to majestic. Someone thought to open up the sharpest thing, rename it meal, flesh center barricaded by miscellaneous knives, whole life. Likely a dare, I too know to breathe shield. What it is to be jagged, to be your own bouquet confused for ornament. Wrap limbs into knotted lonely, disowned coniferous, maybe to be steamed, to unhinge joints, to be believed, to want to be believed, to be beloved, to be known for your buttery, to be raked of it, even though mind cluster. Yes, to live honestly and be considered thistle, but get a body noble, something more than circumstance, than exterior. Fed up with being mistaken for a weed, ate to splay like firework, seen as extra, seen as too much work, blithely considered at Brooklyn dinner parties to be an acquired taste, and that's too fancy, or how do you even eat that? Shimmer silk from center, want nothing more than to be pried, than for someone to just dig in, to be brave or curious, to quest, to use all hands to spread limbs, not mind the bold foliage. Thin blade skin draws blood when held too tightly. Wish for somebody to just say, this looks impossible, but what if this could be my most favorite thing? That somewhere inside, there's Blossom. Thank you so much. So as a Virgo, I'm starting my timer. Want to make sure I'm good on time. Next poem. So that was about my favorite food, because in pandemic, I'm just thinking about food, besides all the SDQ crisis, et cetera, et cetera. Artichokes, cute for layers, et cetera. So let's keep it going. There's this drink that I've been drinking. So here's a disabled COVID hack where Filipinos, we just drink a lot of ginger when we're sick. It's this thing called salapan. So here's a dedication to this very drink. How to make salapan. Boy, listen, this is how to cut ginger. It's a root, she said, from Chicago basement on the first snow of the year. It's the 90s. Snow is a big deal. Tear salt missing ocean salt. She cleared her throat. Based on where we're from, nothing can prepare us for frozen. Fast forward. College friend asks, how do you make that tea again? The one you used to drink when it started to snow? I want to say, my mom is dead. She made this every time it began to snow. I buried both my parents by age 25. Have you called your mother? Have you checked to see if there's a tumor slowly living underneath her skin? What I recall most was her crying, which is a lot like making any drink, really, a pouring. Which reminds me of something a friend once mentioned. Yeah, if you only write about crying and death, nobody will buy your book, folks. What I really do is listen to the same voicemail. over and over, where my mother's throat is miles away, mouth full of liquids, steeped tea bags for lungs, just waiting for the right time to let go. What I actually want to say all the time is grief. Grief is the full-time job. What I say to my friend only mentions directions, which leads one to think about when my mother finally went back. A visit, she coined it. Vacation, which is code word for good. 2 weeks later, she says in calling card staccato, I'm in bad shape enough, which is migrant code for death. Words have multiple meanings. My mama taught me that. In essence, she was my poetry instructor. This is how a mother tongue is whittled dull. Abandoned building. Once home. When mother dies, see, I couldn't say that phrase for years. I couldn't say death. In 3 languages, I don't have words for absence. A mouth becomes thud. English becomes harder to swallow. Did you know that on the worst days, I forget what her favorite song was, but the tiny eruption of her cough repeats in loop all the time now. Thank you so much. So yeah, if you all want like happy poets, I'm just not that. But let's get through it. But I do have a poem that's new, and it's called Sick for Sick. And it's not necessarily a sexy poem. It's not a romantic poem, but it's about the kindred. It's about, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more, but that kindred access intimacy you have with another spoonie or another sick, disabled person or somebody who's in chronic pain, somebody who's crazy. So this is a love poem to all of you. It's called Sick for Sick. Her body patched, swollen skin, hair flecks gone rogue, mismatched knees, ache nicks quilt throughout, curvature. Curvature is a soft thing. She said, if we home close, close enough that our chests touch, shared breath comes from belly up. That is not platonic. Now, breathe same air, nostril kinetic, by way of brow cleft pirouette of migraine, syllables. Keep the thing to love here, together. When nerves are ablaze, I'm told to be blanket, lay my torso on hers, abdomen to abdomen, core to core. Is this what a field does to a hill? Spill it with poppies. I'll wait on her skill, how she will sigh. The human body is heating pad, limbs bonfire, flip sheets, you can't reverse sick. Today, we don't want to. Chest pulse, softest leg. Come spring, come spring, we never do this again. There's only the memory of it, how her lungs cathedral, how I prayed there, on the ledge of inhale, sternum sacred, coughed hymn, spasm luminescence. Stretched, overlap, us, and ampersand on fire. Thank you. I just want you to know that that poem wasn't just structured on like kindred for kindred. It was like, how do I put ampersand in a poem? And that's literally what I did. I know it's not as deep as you want it to be, but literally I was like, let's do a list of words and insert that and see how it goes. And I thought about bodies, and oftentimes when we're twisted and braided together, it's like ampersand. That's cute. It's cute, right? All right, so the next poem, it's about nostalgia. I'm just gonna kick it off here. I don't know if you all, how many people like look at old photo albums? I feel like the pandemic is making people like backslide and like long for the previous. And so this is to a nostalgia. And when you are alone on that nostalgia, and it's called While Looking at Photo Albums. This is a migrant, kids of migrant poem, so shouts out to you all. While Looking at Photo Albums, Christmas Eve, 2016. Before everyone died, in my family, the first definition I learned was my mother's maiden name, Ulandai, which literally means of the rain. And biology books remind us the pouring has pattern, has purpose. Namesake means relief. But my mother meant flee, meant leave. Know exactly what parts of you slip away, drain sediment of a body, is how a single mama feels on the graveyard shift. Only God is awake, is where my family banked itself. A life rooted in rosaries like nuns in barricades scream people power 1 out of 5. Leave to a new country. The women in my family home, in my heart, like checkpoints, which is what they know, which is like a halt, not to be confused for stop, which is what happened to my mama's breath when she went home for the last time. I didn't get to hold her hand as she died. I said I tried. Just translates to I couldn't make it. In time, I tell myself, ocean salt and tear salt are one and the same. I press my eyes shut. Cup, ghost howl. Cheeks split, wood worn, which is to say, learn to make yourself a harbor. Anyway, once I saw this pamphlet that said, what to do when your parent is dead. And I couldn't finish reading, but I doubt it informs the audience what will happen, which is to say, you will pour your face and hands and smother your mother's name and scream on everything you touch. Turn islands into oars. Go, paddle to find her. Ooh, okay, we're gonna have a queer tea break. Here we are. I am drinking a chamomile because I can't have caffeine past 7 p.m. Pinkies up, everybody. Okay, gay sips. Next up. I don't know if, I think, Trans Day of Visibility just happened, right? That's what it's called, the holiday. And I struggle with it's just impacted my body more and also just systemically. All the things I am get hyper vigilant and just like focused. So this poem is about that, and it's called There Are No Icebreakers or Pronouns on the Subway for This. For a long time, I wanted to be no barrier between pelvis and the tectonic plate of my chest. It's a community project. I wanted this to be just open. It's impossible though. My beloved swoons at my nipples, restitched. My body a tell-all. Body terror. Strangers call me on the train, even in afternoon, spit out my looks like cherry pits, even though I fooled page and songbook, secretly recounting how many steps it takes to get to the exit. I think about how to make a man's loud slander silence on the prism of my heel. I breathe in shapes I don't want. My exhale puffed to the circumference of fist. If anybody's too close, 3 ways I can synthesize a jugular. Make husk of an eye. Muster courage. I'm familiar with the sequence of bruised rib, turned cinder dust. Not again. There, I said it. In the name of labor, of this labor, let me smile at the sun. Finally, in the name of all of us, not a set of teeth sharpened every time we have to cross the street. By the look of your terse pupils, you woke up sweat-drenched, under starlight, thinking it could be sheep too. You were hoping, like me, to dream something buttery, soft, slick. You were hoping, without nightmares of pummel, hoping to give the moon a break, finally. So my Virgo sun says I got 2 poems left. How many people know what Mercury in retrograde is? I feel like my life has been in Mercury retrograde since I came out of the womb. And I feel like it's always in retrograde, to be honest. So I wrote a poem because I think a lot of my poems are epistolary, right? Like I'm always writing to somebody. Yeah, right? Golden's like, she's always doing a lot. Yeah, Mercury, she just knows what to do. And, I'm a Virgo. Mercury kind of dominates who I am. And I also just want to acknowledge sometimes how we are our own best toolkits, how we know what to do, especially as sick, disabled, spoony folks, especially like crazy, mad, depressed folks. I think this pandemic is so hard-hitting and so painful, and there have been so many ways in which we've created these skills together and tools to survive Mercury in retrograde. That's my offering. Hide. That's it. That's a poem. I mean, all you got to do is hide. I feel like I don't talk to anybody for that whole Mercury retrograde, but don't read old journals. You'll hate your poetry because let's face it, boo. No. Burrow your head into every crease of the bed. Talk to no one. Embrace the mercurial by yourself. Take everything personally. Take heed of your sharpness. Take stock of your softness. Watch YouTube vids of fluffy, budgy baby animals. Keep protein close. Let the aches in. They're choreographed to the impending storm clouds anyway. Reach out once, then curl into the speed of raindrops. Take nothing personally. Light candles. Crave any random set of foods not at your disposal. Much better to crave green mango shakes and pampano rather than the people they actually remind you of. Regrets doesn't deserve an answer. Believe it or not, now is not the time for 90s R&B jams, salty snacks, and the gluttonous. Make sure no one quotes you on that last statement. Hollow to the radius of any loss or any wind. Let the wind through this gap of you. Remember, guilt wasn't always yours to keep. Wipe residue off your altar. Let the rain on your face be a proper disguise. Drink cups of water on the hour. Let the dogs be a shield of oxytocins and paw pads. Let the cats be a shield. I'm talking to the queer stereotype of oxytocins and paw pads. Let the lizards. All right. Yeah, sure. You do you. I don't really fuck with lizards. I don't really mess with lizards, but do you. Let them be a shield. If you can't howl, pay no mind. Your joints will do it for you. You know this already. Clasp your wounds to your chest. Lullaby it out. Love. Let her go. Want. Let her go. Don't you know the pastries in the damn fridge? Look. The problem isn't that you are not enough. The gift is that you are incredibly all too much. Hum yourself through. Your spirit will do it for you. If crumpled up, now is not the time to underestimate yourself. Remember, the fetal position is a damn fine place to write. All right, y'all, I think that's my last poem on time. So thank you so much, Golden. Thank you so much, everyone out there. I'm looking forward to all the other readers. Please support us, book us, do what you need. And also, y'all, please take care of yourselves. I'm sending you so many spoons for this time. And thank you for being here to having poetry on a Wednesday night. I hope you all have a good rest of the day.
Thank you for sharing. Wow. I always wish every time someone's done, I wish I had the like I wish I could just be like I wish I had like a DJ set where I had to be like boom, and I could just like hit fire just in the background. Like I really wish my goal for poetry is to get pyrotechnics into it. Like I want it to be like it because it's a show. It's a show, right? Like that reading, right? Like I'm still shook. If I didn't have this long, thing on my arm, I would have goosebumps. You know, I love the like little walkie-talkie voice. Like, I don't know, those moments I was like, wow, we're learning something new.
Yeah, it's all performative, right? Like we're using sound. So what I'm not gonna you're a slam poet, so you know how to use a mic. This is our mic. So how does that move? You know, like, you know, I'm like for another poem, I think I'm like, and I do whispers. Like that's how we're using. We don't have a full room. This is our audio.
You changed it. Like there's no whisper anymore. There's a new one. Tim said, I want the flame. I know, me too. Every time I be like, you know, you hear that one fire from you're like, why is there not fire in the back right now? Like someone just set it off. Okay, cool. You know, I can't get us too sidetracked. I can remember we still on time. Okay, Virgo Mars come through. So thank you so much to Kay again. I think we're just gonna jump right into our next poet. Wow, I can't wait. So next up, we're gonna have Timothy Dwight, and I'm just gonna them you. And so I'm just gonna read Timothy's bio. So Timothy Dwight is a Black queer pause writer / artist based out of Brooklyn, New York. The majority of his work circles around the intersections of state and body, state and love, and state and mind. All Timothy desires is a different, newer world and believes the written word is one tool that could be used towards achieving that goal. You can find Timothy at Timothy Dwight on all platforms. And I just have to say this little quick disclaimer. Wow, the kid, like back in the day when sis was still in New York. Yes, they're like a day one. We're on the Bowery Slam team together, and this poet like changed my life, right? So I really can't wait to get into this. So without further ado, let's give it up for Timothy Dwight.
Hey y'all. So can y'all can give me a thumbs up, golden? You can hear me? Okay, good. Hey y'all, I haven't said so I did a little reading for some kids for a high school virtually earlier today, and it was the first time I read poems out loud in a month or so. So I feel fully prepared now. I'm ready. So the first poem I'm going to share is, I think it's the closest poem to my heart right now. So I think that was the best way to start. Let's see if I can make sure I remember it. I don't know shit about taxes, but I for sure owe the IRS a gang of money. Yet this $21 barbecue Beyond Burger with tempeh bacon still slaps. So won't you come celebrate with me today? For Beyonce, in all her graciousness, had the nerve to say, hold up, before I let go. And Frankie Beverly and Maze called that shit a hit. So the summer lit, and my great aunt passed away, but that's okay because me and my cousins and I smoked in the Camry before we got here, so the crying don't hurt as much. And there's still enough blood for the after party because music is playing, so somebody got to dance. And my brother got that new job, so we're laughing in the middle of the road like little ass kids with grown ass nigga bank accounts and no fear of street lights. And in Brooklyn, we don't get to see the stars that night, but that's all right because I know they're there, and looking up at a big stretch of black ain't never bothered me none. And the gentrifiers try it, but they ugly, so we spare no energy on their injuries if their face is already an insult. And my favorite auntie called me a demon last summer for the way I love, but if a hell exists, that means heaven does too. So I guess we'll figure this out once we both get there, and I ain't even mad. And I haven't talked to my father all year, but that's okay because I kept his name, so he's never that far away. And I ain't even mad anymore at the HIV. It just makes my blood a little more bangy. I met God last night, and they told me the key to life is putting on for yourself. And I think that is the story of the first brick. How Marsha P. Johnson said, bitch, I'm too cute for this. And Sylvia Rivera sucked her teeth and replied, bitch, yes, you is. So she threw that shit. And black people, we don't hope. We wish. So I wish a pig would sprout some wings in the year of 2020, because bitch, thanks to them, I was born too cute for this. And I roll with an army of light warrior sisters that'll tuck the crystal between their knuckles before they snuff you. It can tell your rising sign just by the way you walk into the room. I'm talking transatlantic magic and the way my fiance was attacked by 5 niggas in the club for being queer, but did not flinch and came home to me after looking prettier than they ever did. And my mother, please. This here's her parts, nobody else speak, because I gotta tell you, Miss Renee is Gucci. The steak cut off her food stamps, but she's still eating. Spent this entire last year sober, so don't worry about what she drinking. The fire that made her is the same fire that made me too, so this burn is a glow I wear proudly in me. Won't you come celebrate me today? For I am blacker than I ever been and gayer than I ever allowed myself to be. Phenomenal woman. Yes, honey, that's me. And the engine on my father's 1998 Nissan Maxima is still rumbling, and my brother is in a passenger seat with the map outstretched on a dashboard, etching us a trail with this index finger, and my mother is in the back seat with me, singing Aretha's R-E-S-P-E-C-T, and I am forever 8 years old, staring out the window, watching the entire world whip past us, thinking we'll certainly reach the end of it soon. But the land jaw, the motherfucking land jaw, it just keeps on going. Thanks, y'all. That's my first poem. So that's my first poem. And oh, thank you. My partner's giving me hot chocolate, so that's what's happening on the outside. So yeah, I wrote that I wrote that when I was not feeling at all good or at all like happy. So I was like, let me just write the antithesis to what I am in this moment. So that's where a lot of those like kind of clips moments of my life came from. And I was trying to think about what else I'd like to share with you all. I think we're just gonna go into it. So this next piece I wrote, I'm actually excited to share because I wrote this like shortly before, like a little before COVID-19 situation started. So I was never able to really share it that often. I share it like once or twice. But this poem, it kind of talks about being, it is my exploration of what it means to be attached or held onto by your parents, no matter how violent and toxic that might be. So this is, let me close my door because my dog is wilding out. It's called Fire and Blood. I cannot tell you the story behind fire and blood. If fire made blood sweat, or if blood doused the flame on fire's neck, I just know my mother was born hot to the touch, and my father was born without an ounce of blood. His mother didn't even scream when he left her body, yet did scream when she told him to leave her home. But this isn't about how blood boils its own. It's about the sun they rose, how he became a fixture of flame and warmed the home they built with their bones. But what they didn't know is that even the sun will call itself a star if it will relieve him of the weight of the world. My mother needed me like an inverted gravity to lift her from the ground when her blood became a sloppy, drunken heirloom, because there is no love story more codependent than the sun and the moon, but that is the work that blood is supposed to do. At least that's what I think my father was trying to tell me when he screamed, "He hurts too," but how is a sun supposed to prioritize such a wound when the sky is still large enough to swallow the both of you? I do not know how fire were born. If it were sticks and stones or alive, my father were told that he was unworthy, undeserving. All I know is his fire now consumes me, yet people say that's just my life, as if I'm lying about all of this heavy, as if helping some things grow means other things aren't dying. I do not know the origin of blood or how how far back a vein is supposed to go, or if I'm now forced to carry everything my family had to hold. I just know that when my mother screams herself awake at night, a room in me fills up with smoke, and the very miracle of me even breathing is when these hands had a snatch from the galaxy. So who am I to bleed? When my father says he does not believe me, but I tell him I love him because his father never taught him what love is. And who am I to rebuild that bridge each time he decides to burn it? I do not know the full story behind blood and fire. If every house built by bone would eventually turn to ash, on which room in her body the liquor hid my mother's laugh, all I know is when my parents decide to light me at both ends, I'm the one left trying to find myself somewhere in the middle of that sin. Longer know if this is a story about astronomy or anatomy. If I'm the sun cast in their shadow, or if I'm the sun casting it, all I can tell you for sure is that the day begins either way. So who am I to wait? Who am I to complicate my own living against an abyss that promises me nothing? Because the truth is the heat will leave us all one day. The crops will wither and all the blood will curdle back into the earth, and the ones who birthed us would too just be the children of a higher existence, waiting for a flash of light to make it all make sense. And I'll be damned. I'll be God damned if I wait until then. Thank you all. So that is Fire and Blood. I've been writing a lot. Well, before I even say that, lies. I have not been writing a lot during this COVID situation. I just started writing maybe last week. Because a lot of folks is posting online about like, oh, it's lit, we stuck in a house. This is a writing retreat. Treat it as a writing retreat. And it's like, how the fuck do you treat a pandemic like a writing retreat? I don't know how that shit works. I don't know how y'all focus, but I have not been able to be like super productive or make use of this time that I didn't have before because I'm depressed because the world's on fire. So, but before all this happened, I was writing a lot about my family. So that was one thing about me feeling beholden to my parents in ways that I no longer want. It no longer serves me. But I also was I wrote this piece about wanting my family to sort of come back together. So I'll share that, and then maybe I'll read something I just wrote. But yeah. So this is this poem. You don't know time gone till time passed. Reminiscing, wishing to bring them times back, or perhaps an artifact, or a reason to call you back, or a dial tone that doesn't talk smack, because we lost each other somewhere in these petty raps, these petty caps. Tell me a penny for your thoughts, and I'll give you 100 stacks, because I'm missing you. 19th floor with the terrace view. Playing games used to be the only time the family feud. Then night fell and we lost a few. Grandma died and it was like we lost our home. Then the tide rose and eventually we lost us too. Just drifting away like autumn dew, knee deep in winter with the summer's blues, thinking about all the things we used to do. Italian ices, John's Chinese food. Now I stare at cracked mirrors and see each and every one of you peering deep within. Please tell me, what do you see in this Tim? Am I still a broken candy dish blamed on the wind? Because I wish to meet that me again, just as long as you're there too. And I'll take the ass whooping just as long as I can keep the bruise, a souvenir, a proof that we were here, because you really don't know time gone till time passed. Reminiscing, wishing to bring them times back. Maybe an almanac or a stateside map, journeying me away from this space of lack, of wanting and running from anybody that carries the same blood as me. Because what do you do when your blood is the enemy? HIV has a pill to quill its tyranny, yet no meds when a father and son doesn't speak. An insidious disease, a varicose vein splintering a family tree is ugly, but it's stretch of night could do to harvesting. The coldest of Thanksgivings grew all this food, and now we're too stubborn to start eating because she said that one thing that one time that is unforgivable, though you've already forgotten it, just left with the sound of the glass that broke after the words left her lips. Now, glass is all there is, and isn't that a pitiful way to live? Tiptoeing over eggshells at a beach with no fish because everything left when Jackie did. Everything left when Jackie did. Everything left when, everything leaves when I want too hard for them. Reminiscing, wishing time moved different. Give back what was taken, stolen. Time no longer a memory, but a hole that keeps growing. And I guess what I'm asking is, can we just go back to living at the bottom of it? Because you really don't know time gone, so time been gone too long, and you're busy drowning beneath the hook of a song. Because you don't know time gone, you don't know time gone, you don't know time gone, you don't know time gone. So time up and past, you call it growing pains and hopes that it will pass. You call it just a phase and hopes that it will last. But you carry it in your chest, you carry it in your bag, you carry it on the train, you carry it in your lap. I just want to go back to that. Back to the sitcom with the laugh track, back to the backpack with the loose strap, because cancer couldn't kill that. Catch me in the wind, holding on by my bootstrap. This is my third voicemail, please. Please. Please, could you call me back? Thank you, that's that poem. What else do I want to read for y'all? As you can tell, I'm really kind of out here, but I was thinking about reading. Maybe I'll do this. Why not? So I started writing, like I'm also an essayist. I write essays and so I started writing this essay that I haven't finished. It's like one page of it, but I think it's enough to start. I started writing this essay about the idea of being clean. Because there's a lot of talk now about cleanliness and the importance of being clean. But there's like certain pockets of community where the idea of cleanliness has been oppressive and violent. Some of those pockets are for like being HIV positive. The idea of like, are you clean though? And that's like written on dating apps and all that, as if like having this disease inherently makes you filthy or makes you dirty, incapable of being clean. So that, and then also my mother is an alcoholic. So the pressures for her to be clean is really high as well. So that coupled with a virus, right, that's going rampant, that's like causing everybody to stay home, this idea of being clean is being projected onto everyone, and everyone now is being presumed dirty unless proven otherwise, right? And for that to now be kind of a group understanding, aside from just some of us having to experience it, it feels kind of fucked up. And it also feels fucked up because a lot of the conversation that we're having now around like COVID and how we take care of each other and how the government reacts to it is conversations that folks in HIV politics and activism have been having for years about the government as relates to disease. So all that to say, I started writing this essay and I'm gonna just read it. It kind of reads like a poem because everything I write reads like a poem. So, but I'm just read the beginning of it, and then if y'all like it, this will be even more incentive for you to like click it and share it once it's actually complete. So yeah, this is it. On being clean. HIV could have saved lives. That is the only truth I am interested in. Experts on the news keep offering me bodies and data to mourn, but won't say it to my face, won't fess up. So until they do, I continue to mind my own damn business. I do an hour run in the morning, drink black seed oil in the afternoon, and have raunchy gay sex at night. I read Harry Potter, smoke a blunt, and conduct a Zoom meeting from my living room. As a form of self-care, I'm not fucking with anyone who is not fucking with me. And currently, that is most of the world. And by currently, I mean always. And by always, I mean I've been dirty for a long time. Cleanliness is cool, I guess. Wiping down your groceries before placing them in your cabinets could be a vibe, but when my mother calls and tells me her rehab stay has been cut days short due to COVID-19, I can't help but think that clean is a white woman always appearing to be innocent. I mean, everyone can agree objectively that clean is the most desirable state of being, right? I mean, it's not prejudice, it's just a point of fact. I mean, if given the choice, wouldn't you want your children to be clean and safe and out of harm's way? Today, we're being told to stay at home, to remain socially distant. This morning, my mother called me crying, saying she dreamt of being held and woke up once again into an empty apartment. My mother has been single and living alone for the last 15 years of her life. These tears are not a result of quarantine, but rather what happens when you can't help being dirty. When your inconsistent sobriety inflates you to the point where you're the only person able to fit inside of your home. If only she could be a dependable sort of clean. A stark bleach that'll settle in the skin, but thanks to Rona, now everyone is in the same boat. Everyone knows what it means to be presumed filthy. Everyone who's alone is suddenly lonely. We're all in this together, right? I'm not trying to sound bitter. In fact, I'm not aiming to sound like anything at all when I say some of us have been solitary and the rest of y'all are now just visiting. And yes, I am bringing up my blood again because I'm obsessed. All I do is sit in my house and think about how one time a white doctor declared me unsafe and I've been taking a pill a day ever since. When you are first diagnosed, you are warned that your duty from now until eternity is to protect everyone against what's inside your body. The word disclosure becomes a silver hook gnawing the soft skin inside your cheek like a fish caught only to be thrown back into the pond, now injured and less trusting. It's a vulnerable thing to have to tell someone that you may not be healthy for them, to delete the text thread and stay home, though all you want is to lay inside someone else's bed. Yet, Eureka! Praise the gods of reference because we all have a point of entry now. Today we all understand. The funny thing about the declaration of 6 feet is that you can't be too sure if the speaker is suggesting the distance you should be standing or the distance you should be buried. And that's it so far. But look out when I finish it or whatever. And I think I'm not whatever Zodiac K was that had them perfect with timing. I'm not them, but I will say this is my last poem, and I think that makes sense. Okay. So this poem is like my kind of go-to. I've been saying this for years, and it's just a poem I like to end with. So thank you, everybody, and this is my last poem. During a discussion about existentialism, my professor explains to us that all true intellectuals must understand that meaning is always subjective. It is simply a matter of who wins the majority of vote. For example, this is only a hand because enough mouths have spoken into existence. So a while back, I decided I try to be my own self-determining agent of authenticity. So this is not a hand. And see, this is a hoobaloo. I occasionally pick shit up with it. Here, pass me the ball. Watch me catch it with my hoobaloos. This is meaning for me. It is mine. I made it. I'm not asking you for yours yet. What does it matter without the majority's approval? For the last few years, I've been attempting to define my own meaning for joy. The dictionary says that joy is a state of happiness or felicity, yet it always felt so limited. If joy truly only shows up when I am happy, then it does not deserve me. No. I want my definition of joy to be bigger than that. The day I was diagnosed HIV positive, I showered my body in this world's definition of sorrow. I couldn't speak of joy for months. My family and friends would not allow it. I was supposed to be sad. Every mouth around me spoke it into existence. Tim, you're only 21. Tim, you have only loved once. Tim, you must truly hate him. See, today I am 29, y'all. Just as alive as before, only difference is now a college graduate with enough intellect to understand that meaning Meaning is always subjective, so I'll tell you what joy is. Joy is a year and a half later after my diagnosis. It is me calling my ex, calling my first love, and telling him that I forgive him for everything. Joy is me unblocking his phone number, me listening to the year he has had, the struggles he has been forced to go through. Joy is me no longer being afraid to admit that I still love the man that gave me a terminal illness. And though the majority of you may not approve of this, well, that is okay, because this is joy for me. It is mine. I made it. I made it. And I am not asking you for yours. Thank y'all so very much. Y'all great.
Thank you so much. No, wow. What a beautiful bookend to to begin and end. I feel like there's so much to talk about, right? I don't want to get sidetracked because to me I'm just like, ooh, you brought up so many juicy topics. When you said this is an writing retreat, I was gonna be like, okay, so how we start discussion now? But we're here. We're gonna get into that a little bit later, okay?
Let's do.
But thank you so much, Timothy. And just to be cognizant of time, I'm just going to get right back into the next reader. And I'm so thrilled to have this poet with us. We're having Torn a Great House. I'm just going to read their bio. Torn a Great House is a transgender cripple punk and MFA candidate at the University of Minnesota. She is the author of Boy Girl Ghost from Tar Chapbook Series 2018, and assistant editor of The Shadow Mix. Their work is published in Poetry, Plowshares, Tri-Quarterly, and the Kingdom New. In 2020, they received fellowships from Zoglossia, hope I said that right, and the University of Arizona Poetry Center. Torn was a finalist for the 2020 Pushcart Prize and is the youngest ever winner of the Poetry Foundation's J. Howard and Barbara M. J. Wood Prize. Without further ado, Torn a Great House.
Requiring further examination before a diagnosis can be determined. Antonym for me, a medical book. Replace all the punctuation, commas, periods, semicolons with question marks. Diagnosis is just apotheosis with sharper edges. New name for a myth already lived in. For the sake of thoroughness, I have given until my veins crater. Tests administered for HIV, cirrhosis, glucose, cancer, creatine, albumin, iron, platelets. I slept for days. Wired machines had my piss filtered for stray protein. Just stay still inside my body. Kingdom with poisoned well. I want to be anything but an elegy, lining my bones. I just want to be a question this body can answer. My new doctor writes one referral, then another, still no guesses. A man in a scowl and lab coat offers yoga, more painkillers, suggests PTSD could be the cause of chronic pain. My lymph of migraines, quickened pulse, and blood-glittered coughs with seizures, rattling me inside my skin. Oh, syndrome of my perfect and unbroken transgender arm. They checked my hormones, too. Yes, unfathomable. A suffering I did not choose. Must be gender. This vacancy my body makes of its own flesh. How I vanish from myself. We search for a beginning to this story and find only a history of breakage X-rays cannot explain. Some girls are not made but spring up from the dirt. Yearling tree already scarred from its branches severed. zygote of red clay that rain washes into a river of blood. Hey, what's up, y'all? I could not be. First of all, I just want to say, Golden, thank you so much for organizing this reading. It's incredible to be reading with these folks. Like, everyone I'm reading with today is someone that I am so astonished by their work, that I look up to, that I have loved their work for a long time, and I couldn't imagine, like, a more incredible reading of, like, kindred folks in the disability community and, like, in the trans community. Like, it's truly an honor, and I'm so excited to be here with all of these folks. So I'm going to be reading a mixture of work from a manuscript I just finished up, as well as work from the current manuscript I'm working on. The new manuscript is a lot of work that is dealing with desire and desirability. Particularly, a lot of the stuff I'll be reading is desirability through the lens, like desirability through the lens of disability. And so, like, Kay, I'm so excited that you had, like, the Sick for Sick poem, because there's, like, several poems that are talking about, like, this modality of, like, being a, like, ill and disabled person in love with another ill and disabled person. But this one is about the relationship of kink to disability, which is something else I've been, like, trying to work through. So this one begins with an epigraph from Ocean Vuong, and I'll just run through, like, title, epigraph, poem. Is just another verb for song. Pain blesses the body back to its sitter. Handcuffs around my wrists, lined synthetic fur, arms bound and hoisted heavenward, as if in praise once. Bodies like mine received a symptom of sin, something to be prayed away. How once priests beat themselves to sanctify the flesh, put their sins to death. My clothes scatter across the floor like petals, lanced by hail. Motion stretches objects in the eye. A drop of rain remade a needle, a blade, muscle fiber, and piano string. When struck, ring. No violence, no music without violence or wind. I'm searching for a kinder music. Pain that makes a stranger tune. My body aches, an ugly song. All of my bones refuse to harm my knives. Percussion is our oldest form of song. Wind bruised into melody. Let me say this plainly. I want you to beat me into a pain that's unfamiliar. How convenient this word, beat, that lives in both the kingdoms of brutality and song, named the scourge, an antonym of praise, fragile animal youth. The singer's voice, a cry, a moan, God's name broken across the blade of teeth. There is no prayer to save me from my flesh. Can't have the Bible without the belt. I'm like not a good banter person, so I'm just gonna keep rolling through the poem. I'm like terrible at the whole talking while I'm on stage thing, so I'm just gonna. It's even worse with like no actual sonic response, so. That's so lame. He says when the bus is late, when the TV show is canceled, when a fascist is elected, when the Wi-Fi is bad. That's so lame, I say. rubbernecking my own body in the bathroom mirror. See, every time lame comes out a mouth it doesn't belong in, my cane hand itches, my bum knee cracks, my tongue's limp gets worse. Some days it's so bedridden in the bottom of my jaw it can't stand up for itself. Fumbles the fuck you trips over its own etymology. When all I want to ask is, why do you keep dragging my body into this? When I want to ask, do you know how this slur feathered its way into language? By way of lame duck? Its own wings sever itself from the flock and make it perfect prey? I want to ask, how long have you been naming us by our dead? Baby book you're broken from the textbooks of our anatomy. A car limped along the freeway, a child crippled by their mother's gaze. Before I could accept this body's fracturing, I had to unlearn lame as the first breath of lament. I'm still learning not to let a stranger speak me into a funeral, an elegy in orthodox slang. My dad used to tell me this old riddle. What value is there in a lame horse that cannot gallop? And whatever a butcher can make of it. So a part of this manuscript I've been working on are a sequence of poems where I kind of both adopt the voice of and subvert the voice of the models of disability that have been proposed. So like the medical model, the economic model, which often propose very problematic and harmful modes of thinking about disability. And so I'm going to read one of those. So this is essay fragment, economic model of disability. How do you calculate in hard mathematics the value of a disabled body? The body which reduces like a fraction, some portion less than human, to an object or icon of pity. In physics, work is defined as the degree to which an object or body is affected by an applied force or body. It is not defined by effort exerted toward a task. Example, two birds of equal weight fly at equal velocity toward two windows. If one bird shatters its neck, spine collapsing like an equation, and one the window, the first bird is still alive, beak loamy with blood, has achieved a net worth of 0. Consider the disabled body not unlike the bird malfunction of anatomy. Consider its potential for work. Force is defined in part by mass. Force equals mass times acceleration. How much weight, read burden, the disabled body exert on society before the net worth is 0. So I'm going to end with 2 poems, which are like my attempts at love poems. My partner said neither of them are love poems; they're just poems, which like incidentally include them. Which like okay, like just attack me like that, sure. I love them, and they're in the poem. But they're like poems like dealing with issues of like thinking about being disabled and in love. And also, like, this first poem is about the relationship of kink and disability and also like desire and ownership. So this is on possession. Our earliest understanding of seizure was that it must be the devil possessing the sick. Epilepsy, from the Greek epis, upon, and lamvenine, to take hold, something seizing the flesh, the body snatched away from itself. My first seizure was nothing like this. Instead, voltage in my blood, my body drained in wind, in wings, in nets and veils of heedless light. Sometimes I think I must be bad feminine. The days that all I want to be is owned, an object, a possession. An apostrophe denotes possession, means to turn toward. Thin hook of ink that joins a body to another by its name. Small black latch that clicks the distance between two things shut. Most days, my pink leather collar collects dust in a closet, though once I wore it daily. Marked territory, familiar way. Though once a dog made me wear it out in a dive bar's dim light to read poems for tips, and I bruised my throat from the force of speaking. For weeks after, my voice was choked with ghost palm, padlock caught in my throat. Once, the common practice for treating patients in the midst of seizing was to force a piece of wood between their teeth to prevent them from biting through their tongue. Epilepsy shares a common root with latch, thus the lock, the collar, the cuff, the trap door of a mouth, cousin to illness. Certain kinds of fear are categorized by the feelings of euphoria that overtake the body when you return to it. I first knew to call these seizures from the dead light they left in their wake. My lover tells me they've heard the voice of God since before they understood human speech. And this is how I know we are thunder, blooded in the same way. The seizure, a kind of theft, speech is stolen from the tip of the tongue, and wake from sudden darkness and words toppled from my mouth, unhinged from their tidy meaning. Back against the floor, my tongue babbles a tower skyward. Sometimes I hear voices in the darkness. Sometimes I hear my love reaching for me as if through water, even from 1,000 miles away. Someone once told me the distance between orgasm and seizure is thin as a split lip skin. The body, overtaken by itself, but there's something different in being trembled by another's hand. Their hand, a hook, and a name. Possession, a mark of sin, of course, an invitation. I give myself over, and this must be a devil thing. A dirty prayer. If a nun has wed the Lord, pray tell, what strange marriage is this? To be bridal is to be held. It contains within it bride. To be confused for bridal. And hold me through a seizure, or pin me to the bed, finger a bit inside my mouth, and I am wed to their hand. I have just one more nice It's one that for me feels very fraught, but at the same time very important. It came out of the impulse to try and write a poem that was very explicitly a love poem about being disabled and about being ill. And the week I started trying to write it, was not just that, but also about the idea of being so in love with someone that you no longer want to die, which is in itself a very fraught feeling. Like the idea of like a trans and disabled person who is extremely depressed, I've spent most of my life not expecting to make it to the next year and not wanting to a lot of the time. And so hitting a point where I want to is a very difficult thing in a lot of ways. And so trying to write into that, this poem began during the week that I was actually in Boston visiting my partner who lives there, right at the point that everything really hit with COVID-19. And during the week that they first started to consider shutting down and having a quarantine. So this is all kind of written in the wake of everything going on there. So this is a poem very much written also as kind of like a coronavirus poem. And so that's part of why it also feels fraught. But this is, everything is terrible and I finally want to live. Tonight, I kept mistaking all of the satellites for stars, remembering how scientists are worried that one day we won't be able to see their light at all, so dead and generic and beautiful. It's 3:30 and I'm trying not to look at my phone, trying not to think about abstract concepts like contagion or America or God. Oh God, Ginsburg was wrong. America is already angelic, terrifying and many-eyed. It's wiretaps and satellites and body cams and drones and algorithms. The grocery shelves are empty and a robot whirs through the aisles offering assistance, all panopticon and placebo smile. I tell you later how I wanted to make like Odysseus, to gouge out its single glitter black lens and scrawl, I am nobody, across its lack of a discernible anatomy. Instead, I stock your cupboard. Call this domestic apocalypse prepping. Call it love language. Last night, I dreamed of hand sanitizer brewed in bathtubs and a world without borders. Ghost flights soared silent overhead as your breath unspooled the news feed from my eye, your snore heavy with post-nasal drip. I swore this wouldn't become a love poem, but isn't that so survival? We're sick in your bed again, and the world is sick around us. I can't remember any prayers, so I whisper the names of our medications like the names of stains. Orange bottles around the beds like unlit candles in the dark. I wake and scrub my palms bird bright, soap and steam scent of lavender and boiled meat. Tomorrow, we'll kiss in the airport terminal through surgical masks. Kiss so hard that tomorrow becomes a verb between our lips. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. Oh, wow. Again, so many things to talk about, but I know me. I'm gonna just keep my Virgo Mars gonna keep me on time. But thank you so much, Torin. I was over here like I have a little journal with me, so I've been writing down different phrases for everyone, and I just wrote so many things down. So thank you so much, and for sharing your work. And so I'm just gonna jump right into the next artist. Wow, yes, I've been like secretly admiring this artist for a little bit, and like this is the first time I'll be able to like actually physically see them read in person. Well, not really in person, but I'm gonna call this in person because this is like the world in person right now. So this is a treat. It's a selfish treat for me, but also a treat for everyone. So without further ado, I'm gonna read Survey Jarrell Johnson's. So Saray Jarrell Johnson is a writer and librarian from. Okay, I'm gonna butcher this. So can you just go ahead and just like help me? I'm from Piscataway, New Jersey. Yes. Okay. Yes. Piscataway, New Jersey, and they're the author of Slingshots. His first book of poems is now out from Night Books, and we'll link that later. And find him on the internet at SarayJarrellJohnson.com or Saray Jarrell on Instagram and Facebook. So without further ado, I'm gonna hand it to Saray. Hi, you can find me on Twitter too. Yeah. If you want to hurt my feelings or have your feelings hurt, Twitter would be the best place. You want to just look at me? Yes, Instagram. So I'm gonna start with a poem that I think of as my alma mater, right? As an abundant mother, it was the abundant mother of my book Slingshot, which you can get if you want, and it's called Magenta, and it's dedicated to Leah Lakshmi Gibsoness Marcy. Magenta, the kind my homie Leah calls screaming vulva, a sparkler through gray hair with glint of mercury. Quickly become elders in this city, smears our fingers like new murder. They're my mentor with Cinti Roma's Bleeding Tarot. When I was a kid, they wrote Femshark Manifesto. I lived a life with pink books and gem mischief. That zine was the zine that I mean when I mean the zine. It was a roll call for femme styles, pumped a saline shot of sadness, but at least there was fucking to look forward to. I wanted to grow up, then be them, then be their friend forever. Wash all their dishes, eat drying pizza out the box, so I filled 3 bags and moved to Oakland. It was blank verse for 10 months and fucking. I slept on Anna's couch as ever and wrote for weed magazines. Hot-handed roof gardens blush pink as lips. The other ocean coughed out boys with limps and lisps. Prince punctuated all our trysts. I dated a cop for about 6 months, a future flush with killer's gear. He won't tell you about the rapes, but he paints and sculpts them in his face where eyebrows once were and should appear. This poem can't reinstall the skin nor grow his eyebrows back again. His fetid hide has ceased to be for all of our eternities, and for this, only impotence. A poem wove with fizzy goiter, flaccid as Pacific 6 sprays feud. A poem to coil you in fistula of yarn and stars. So before and after that poem, I always have to say, I would never date a cop. I have never dated a cop. I think that dating cops is really disgusting. The speaker of the poem is not me. Yeah, that's important to say. So the rest of my poems are actually they're new. They're fucking new poems. So, you know, like the shade of the universe, my master's thesis was about quarantine, right? Yeah, and so that was awkward because then as soon as I was like, yeah, I'm gonna like continue writing this, and then there was a quarantine, so that fucking sucked. But I'm gonna read from that because actually, these poems are really just gonna be about, or not even, because I am not actually someone who identifies as queer, I identify as gay, but it's really just about how disabled people who are not straight people love each other and fail to do that. And so this poem is called The 8 of Spades. Hot boys go to heaven and you're headed soon. A shark stunted by the fishbowl that raised it. No second body in sight for days, I'm sure. No food or light for days, I'm sure. Smaller than even my bathroom, you say, and I trust you on that, I guess. If I write this poem, you can never die. If I write this poem, you will always be the body unwinding around my fist. You said, not promised, you would stop drinking after the surgery 2 doctors forbade. Autistic child of addicts, I believe, stupid like one of my father's ghostly car to crush the gravel of my 3-year-old front yard. Now each drink is prolific in your shrunk gut. You wake in delirium. You tremor my dreaming. Since you've been gone, I watch local news waiting for the stomped can of your two-striped car. The morning drunk men open me. My sadness turns sickness, that's who I am. Some femme writing elegies after familiar men. When you die, I hope you'll visit. I know no one knows about your gay lover, and no one will tell me you're dead. You are last of men who can claim I was his who never claimed me. I know I deserve better, but what of my desire? Can I have a life I imagine? Can't someone always do the driving and never complain? Can't your arms stay lemniscate around my neck? Oh, can't you just try? The AA meeting at the center. Why won't you come home and stay? Now I pull the ace of spades. I ask again, insulting the deck. Now I pull the ace of spades, noose around our neck. Now I pull the ace of spades in your dream. A wrecked car on the highway, ace of spades, worst sight in the deck. So, the biggest mistake I made in being a poem poet, was that I am a serial poet and a narrative poet, which means that sometimes I'm like, want to hear a 40-page long poem? And hopefully the answer is always yes, because that's what I write. Like, I just write mad long poems. So I've actually excerpted this part, and I'm going to spend the rest of our time together. I might close in a different way, but as far as I know, at this moment, I might spend the rest of our time reading to you from a very long poem called Iris. And Iris is about a time in which being queer or trans becomes a pre-existing condition. And so everyone is forced into quarantine to protect the public, essentially, and looks at the life that people make here and how we continue to survive. Because if history serves as any kind of map, we have always survived thus far. Not all of us, not in the ways we had hoped, but if we are here right now, and I believe that we are here right now, it means that at least some of us did survive, and I believe that at least some of us will survive now. So, as always, my poetry is a tribute to the most recent ancestors. I know we will lose a lot for disabled people. We may lose a generation, and I think about that every day, that this is something that is targeted to us, that the callousness is targeted to us. But yeah, I'll keep to my time. So because there are characters in this, you'll have to know a little something about them. So the primary character is named Seven. Seven is the speaker most times. When Seven is not the speaker, you'll hear me say the name of someone. There is dialogue in this. The poems look like this. There we go. Call them bricks. All right. So, and then there's dialogue that intrudes on that. Speaking with his best friend Troy, who is a fuckboy, is a real fuckboy, like truly. And occasionally his partner Shalimar enters. And Shalimar is actually a very complicated hottie activist with a kind of complicated history. And so the voice that starts is Seven. But I have promises to keep. Troy on the other side of the river, a long-awaited and delayed visit. I pack my gifts for him, prepare with equal worry as though devoured by my ego, tinctures, books, playing cards for spades, and reading. Hoping to avoid his annoying former ex-girlfriend. Tara enables with her money and white woman abandon. Troy can never match her freedom, and he tries in the worst ways. Broken and forever in hiding. She's a beard of another color. I spend the $4.50 on the PATH train and meet Troy in the little park on Halsey with a bottle of hooch in my shorts. He's untethered. I ask how he's doing. He avoids the question, but the speed and repetition in his speech tell me he's using. It's my business and none of my business, but what can I do about it anyway? The visit isn't unpleasant. Yes, he hasn't eaten. Yes, his clothes are messy and his breath stinks, but he's my best friend. I miss him when he disappears, which is often. My nostrils with iron. I start my calculations. His tattoos are bumpy with scars but not wounds. His dingy white shirt unbloody, if soiled. He didn't wince when I hugged him. The flat front of his jeans are harder to scope but look like nothing special. The inseams. Troy, what you staring at so hard, man? I thought you were past all that. I'm just trying to see you catch a peek. He caught me looking, so I had to tell him, I smell blood. Are you bleeding? His face deflates. My math becomes his. He licks his chipped front tooth habitually, but says myriad nothings. And neither of us speaks. What process has started, what will continue to occur, what is fated to persist, yet we all know why. He enters the putrid brick bathroom. I wait outside for the just in case. You straight? I offer as he emerges, face blank like those who have seen the spectral visage. His quiet is enough to know the answer. I beg him, come home with me. I would text Shalimar to ask permission, but my data's been cut off for weeks and he only has access to the work phone at Falsettos these days. I dip into next week's budget and get us both across. But when we make it to Chambers, he and I know we'll have to walk. We stop and miss the crowd of lovers on the Brooklyn Bridge. It's a long walk from here to Crown Heights. Troy, you don't have to take me home with you. I'm not a puppy, man. I can take care of myself. I ignore him. I've known him long enough to anticipate the spiral that awaits us. I know Shalimar, so I'm fairly certain that he won't be thrilled by this new house guest, but he's my best friend. 2 hours later, I sink my key into the knob and swing open our splintering door. Don't sit on my white couch. I tell him before we really get inside. We haven't had a need for such supplies around here, so I hand him a set of clean, black crew socks, and he slips into the bathroom. Dr. Bronner's is in the cabinet over the toilet. I yell through the door. I find some clothes to fit over his slim, short frame. Shalimar's at work, so I tack a sign on the entrance. Troy inside, fix your face. We got drunk off the Hennessy I've been saving. It seemed as good a time as any to blow through it. I lost my job, I tell him, as though he was cognizant, 2 weeks ago. Surprisingly lucid, he offers a sorry, bro, and a what are you gonna do? He's sure Shalimar got me, that I have some savings. He does, and I do, but who can save enough to not have a steady job? It's only a matter of time until the money runs. I have no prospects in sight, and my ex-husband, by executive order, works at a bar. His head bobbing with sleep, but I still explain how Wolf Studios called a meeting with every junior employee and explained there'd be layoffs. Insurance costs exploded. It's bad for the budget. They've been forced to relieve all non-essential personnel. They can't afford the internet anymore, so all the social media managers are gone. They offered recommendations as though every competitor wasn't planning the same. I wrote this a really long time ago, and that creeps me. Like 3 years ago, that's when I started writing this. I put Troy to sleep in a towel/blanket fort just as Shalimar arrives, clutching his stomach. I stand on my toe tips to kiss his forehead, surprised at how the sweat coats my lips with salt. I tell him he has a fever as though he doesn't already know. A regular Florence Nightingale I am. I boil water for tea and eat, and he lays down to receive it. What the fuck is going on? Flashes in my brain like an Amber Alert to my phone. What the fuck is going on? And he sighs out, did you hear about Quentin? Whisper networks activated a cacophony of silent alarms. Contagious is what we call it. Grab our lovers by their thinning wrists. Smooth down our best friend's eyebrows with our thumbs and breathe the minute portions that meet the air in and in and in. My Mima says death comes in threes. Ostensibly, she was straight. Death comes over for coffee here. Death shows up to work 3 hours late for their shift. Death peeks from behind your new future curtains. Where is the new slippers you gifted? Death arrives first for those who you left behind, the homie you forgot to call, who you knew till projection personal. The sick queers, they'll all be dead soon. The drama queen you hated but admired for her rudeness but not her racism, and the identities with which she'd attempt to obscure it, who'd always announce nice is why I'm going to kill myself until one day she did. Go ahead, vain surprise, you never saw it coming. It came down your lips, your throat, at last it hits its mark inside. In the morning it occurs to me that Shalimar is the only one who works in this house. Anyone first nights? How will our days be spent? Troy barely rouses until 4 p.m., and then just briefly before settling back into the grooves of rigid cough like feral hound come indoors. I know that it'd be full of piss, and he'll be full of piss and puke when he's up again, and so, what? So is the world. My men, inspiring the abnegation they do. I fall into them when I'm emptiest, tend to the needs in them I can't fill in myself. I've tried to be a man, but I'm no good at it. Not in some dogmatic sense, on a cellular level, until quite recently, I kept up with the shots it required, used the easiest pronouns, accessed the vocal training of Dr. YouTube, copped to male privilege, and still my period comes on shot day. In the grocery store, my name is Sir, Ma'am, It. What beard I can claim grows in a ribbon near my neck like a bonnet string, less than 3 centimeters wide, the consistency of caterpillar fuzz. I'm a gender failure. Troy and I actually started tea at the same time. We're brothers in the weird fraternal world of trans guy friendship. He likes to pretend we didn't fuck for several years and not at all sporadically, but that's sort of what required. If real men are not gay, then you have to be straight to really pass, and that was all Troy ever wanted. When I say it out loud to you, that sounds so sad to me. Only things that make perfect sense can be as tragic as his realness. Troy lives in the world, subject to actual reality. Troy wakes up as I silence my shot day alarm. He's not nearly as putrid as I imagined. I crawl past the droopy flaps of blanket into his cave and sit next to his feet. His eyes are wide open, staring at nothing. I poke his soles, which grossly tap back at my fingernail. And now here comes the puke. I internally commend myself for covering the floor with towels. I can't live like this, he tells me, as though I don't know, as if anyone could. You live a life with no safety net and an exit wound as a backup plan. When he says I can't, I know he means I won't. He starts to cry, surprised to have regained the ability. I can still cry because I still bleed. It's one of the first things to go, before the first thread of beard, before your skin hardens or your voice deepens, and then you're losing something overwhelmed, or having a shitty day and your eyes are dry and something feels stuck inside you. Emotional constipation. He covers his face with both arms and bears. I ask if he wants to split a shot. So far as I can tell, there's about 2.5 milligrams left in this vial, which is 2 full doses for me, but I only have 1 syringe left and no sharp since Calendar closed down. Alcohol swabs were the first pleasantry to go, so I wet some bunched up toilet paper with 90% alcohol by volume and swipe it over the nipple. Little white curds speckled the bottle and collected where the metal rim met rubber. I bought it, so I take the first shot. More blood than I anticipate waves back. I use the same clump to block the flow. Troy's injection technique is trepidatious to the point where I'm like, just hurry up and inject it. Jesus, shoot it into your goddamn muscle and be done with it. Like, how can you be so macho and yet so unable to perform this basic function of your life? He looks at me and says, can you do it? And it's cloyingly intimate, so I say, fine, but only in your butt. Troy is all huffy about it, but we both know that it's a more comfortable sight. His ass cheeks are ashy, but what more can I expect from a straight boy? Shea butter. Okay, so it's uncharitable to crack on his mangy appearance before I even ask what caused it. I know that. I am delicate. He's wearing my clothes, and his face is shut tight as a stitch wound, so I let him know it's finished. Shalimar. Y'all done with whatever little thing you got going on in the bathroom? I'm not asking no questions, but I gotta get ready for work. And I'm like, pause, because he's actually too sick to go to work. I let Troy get decent, even though he mumbles something about gay niggas under his breath, mostly as a reflex. I shuttle Shalimar into our bedroom, and the terse conversation which ensued was reprinted below. What do you mean you're going to work tonight? You have a fever of 102. Shalimar. Okay, 7. I guess we'll simply live off our hopes and dreams and eat our dead friend's funeral invite. You don't have to get pissy about it. Shalimar, I need to get into the shower. He left out not too long after. I could blame him. He and Troy aren't collegial, but they're my permanent fixtures, my 2 longest commitments. I'll stop there. Thank you. Wow. Thank you so much. I was over here just like caught in the story. There was some, Tim highlighted that great line that I wanted to like, it was like, I can still cry because I can still bleed. Wow. Again, so many things to talk about, but, I want to definitely get the readings in. But thank you so much to Saray for sharing their work. And we're going to link his book on the Facebook Live and afterwards. So be sure to go out and do that. So without further ado, we're going to move on to our last poet of the night, Sam Rush. I'm just going to read their bio, so that last little thing, and then we're going to get into the reading, and then we're going to our discussion. But, so Sam Rush is originally from South Florida and began writing poems after developing progressive hearing loss and realizing how many words each word could be. They were a finalist in the 2016 National Poetry Slam and are the author of from Sibling Rivalry Press, coming out in September of this year. Their work has been featured in The Offing, Muzzle, The Journal, and elsewhere. When the snow is gone, Sam works in ecological restoration and education. I love this poem so much. When I was coming up with this thing, I was like, yes, I have to have Sam Rush on this Kickback, and I can't wait. They're so amazing. Wow. Yes. Without further ado, Sam Rush.
Thank you so much, Golden. Wow. It's so nice to hear from all of these poets. I saw the lineup for this, and it's really absolutely like some of my favorite poets in the world are on this lineup. So I'm so grateful that I got to hear it. Okay. My friend Zenaida asked me to read this poem. So Zenaida, if you're there, I'm gonna FaceTime you after this. Okay. All right. This is called The Spandrels of San Marco. Two rounded archways built adjacent will form above them a V-shaped empty space. That space is called a spandrel. Evolutionary biologists borrow the term to describe a trait that has no functional value, but is the byproduct of selection for a useful adaptation. So your tailless tailbone is a spandrel. Nipples that don't lactate, spandrel. Anthropologists suggest that our human tendency towards belief in the supernatural results from selection for a trait called agent detection. Our ability to assign a motive to that which exists outside ourselves, to imagine a story that fills the empty space around why. The belief in God is nothing more than an evolutionary accident. Leftover space around a useful adaptation. Spandrel. Once the man held me in his arms like a question mark, and for the first time I wished there could be 2 miles space between them. Spandrel. My father taught me grief is like a hole inside you. Mourning doesn't fill the hole, it's simply how we learn to live around it. Spandrel. When I was 15, God or something like it plugged a hole in me, and my hearing began to drip out slowly, leaving behind an empty space, the space filled with a piercing ring that aches and wakes me in the night. Spandrel. I learned to love from the story boys with waking boomboxes held above their heads and pillows of salt. The story goes, love is love when it turns its object's name into a seraphim, their voice into a prayer. Spandrel. Sometimes I hear voices in the rain. Sometimes I hear the voice of the man who held me like a question mark. Sometimes I hear the voice of God. Sometimes I cannot tell the difference. Spandrel. The thing about love and death is that they both turn humans into gods without asking. Spandrel. Sometimes I hear voices in the rain. Sometimes I hear the creak of the rope he lost to in a quarry outside Cincinnati, and I don't know the shape of it, but I imagine a gaping, empty space. Spandrel. I do not wish to make this man a god. I do not wish to erase the callous in his voice or the careless moments of greed. I do not wish to write him into my own mythology to absolve an empty space. The incident space of the spandrels at San Marco's Basilica in Venice, Italy, are filled and blooming with delicate portraits of angels, and onlookers crane their necks to gaze upon them, upwards towards heaven, and forget the ground. Spandrel. Once I fell in love the way the story goes, and forgot my own name. The story goes you will be loved into a hole. The story goes you are born with a hole inside of you, the shape of your lover's arm or ear or crooked neck. The story goes you will look upon your lover, see heaven in their eyes. Scandal. I do not wish to forget your eyes for heaven. I do not wish for a love that cranes my neck upwards and away from this earth's spandrel. I try to hold myself at night like a question mark that cannot coax my body into the arching because it is harder for me to imagine a story that ends in a trans body coming than it is for me to imagine a story that ends in a trans body coming back from the dead spandrel. I am afraid to be loved like a symbol. I am afraid to be loved like a myth, like a monolith, like a mystery spandrel. I'm afraid of a love that will turn me to false god, only to prove me fallacy spandrel. There are voices in the ring. Silence. There is a song. I know he is not waiting for me out there in the gaping air, but I swear to God, I hear something. Thanks. That's my first poem. I'm saying thanks. I hope thanks. Maybe you're all like, I'm leaving. That's okay too. But yeah, cool. But thanks for showing up to this reading. That's so nice. I'm really excited. Oh, I also wanted to mention, Golden mentioned in the beginning intro, the Mashpee Wampanoag, who are the people of the land that Boston is now a thing that people call. The Mashpee Wampanoag are right now like in a really important battle for the sovereignty of their tribal land. So I have the Facebook chat here. I'm going to do some little tiny clicking things, and I'm going to click a link. There's a webinar on the 19th about how to support them, and it's really amazing if folks who are in Massachusetts, but also like folks around the country could tune into that if you can. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Now, I'm gonna read you a poem about my first grinder. Okay. This is a sonnet for it's a sonnet for burial rites and my first night on the grinder. Men send me pictures of their cocks without moisturizing. And I, with little choice, must find a way to face the crust of past, shed as skin across their hungry nows, their hasty needs, their powdered power husks, all musting and all must and all steam, born androgen and close to blowing only in the presence of a stiff breeze. The dead cell dust, a frumpy cummerbund around a drunken groom, a dungy bust, and cumbersome as this small courtesy may be, trust, we have a history, of taking care to oiling our dead, that they may disappear into the living. I hope it's okay to read poems about cocks. Okay, so this is another poem because that's what I'm doing here. I'm looking at time too. Okay, this is a poem about. Okay, so I'm hard of hearing. I like experience sound in a different way than most of the people around me, and definitely like in a different way than the world around me is like built for me to experience it. And so this is a poem about if I moved to the moon and had like on the moon there was like a world that was like built more for the way that the body works. It's called On Our Moon. On our moon, language will once again be told to shut up and lick the art forms. Art forms will grow on sink dishes. Dishes will grow inside sinks, and sinks will reproduce sexually, and my small death will live next door to the claim. Hearing will do dishes in the quiet, carefully. Blood will spill only onto broken plates. We will call out blood by the name of broken plates long enough that blood will come to speak in broken plates. To the moonborn it will. To the moonborn, late death will look like squinted light. Broken dishes will kaleidoscope. Silent will lift the art form's undersides and rename itself. Space will fill lunch bags up with broken dishes, bring them out to parties. Parties will be other names for deaths, births, and nap-taking. Nap-taking will ask for fingertips at the door and bury them in velvet cords, and the asking will be done in a light language, shattered glass, crystal, or needing to know. Oh. It's so nice to see you all. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna read this other weird sound poem. It's kind of fun to just be reading poems in my room. I have a lot of objects on my desk I want to show you, but then I'm promising I get back to poems. It's really just one item that I want to show you. I have a lot of items here, but this is my lamp, and it's a koala lamp. I just, in case anybody wanted to see it. I hope you did. Cool. It's my treasure that I found at the Goodwill. Okay. This is a poem about tinnitus. Tinnitus is like a ringing sound, or it can be a ringing, a buzzing, a hissing that happens in the ears, and it often the pitch of tinnitus, it corresponds with where a person has a hearing loss. So, what's sort of conjectured about the cause of tinnitus is that it's the brain's way of making up for a sound that it's perceiving as missing. And I've had tinnitus for a long time, and it's often really unnerving. But when I kind of found that out and realized that, I found that sometimes I could be grateful for the way that my brain was trying to keep me company, even if it felt violent in my experience of it. So I wrote this in a workshop from Justice Games, the amazing Justice Game. So shout out to her. This is called In the Growing Quiet, My Tinnitus Sings to Me. It's a translation of The Ring. My cherub, child, copper, hollow, chamber, basin, baby. Baby, hollowed, startled, startling, dropped in a darling baby. I saw you empty. I found you out, drip drained and swallowed air, frozen, open, cold, and inside your quiet. You were inside your quiet baby. Did you think I'd let you stay? Out there in the freeze like that, out there in the raw air and the rubber blunder, sloping, hopeless, shallow baby. Did you think I'd leave you all alone, my dear, my darling? Holy hope the sound would ship. The sound would slip. The sound would slip through. No, I came to fill you up, fill your empty spaces up, to bring the solid stuff together, bring, bear the boundless out, and now I brought to you this ring, I brought to you the spaces, keep the spaces cemented, lace and laced, the raining, grounding, waist and neck and deep down. Now listen, this binding pain, this cling to the threads, to the drip drop, listen, clang, bang, golden echoed, seraphim, spit, squint, spin, swallow, fell for a winged throat, and hollow, God wrote, bring you, I brought you this ring, this nail song, tin, choir hammers, holy plated, mouthless voice, open pointed, metal panting, pang song, ding, darling, ring, squint, darling, squint, not with your eyes, with your inside, squint, can you hear, your angels sing? For you, I ring. My roommates are probably like, what the fuck is going on down there? Excuse me, what the heck is going on down there? I hope they're not scared. Yeah, cool. Whew. Nothing like getting worked up alone in a room reading poems. It's my favorite thing to do. Okay, I think that I have time for maybe two more, so I'm going to do two more. Cool. Oops. Sorry, I have a lot of papers here because I couldn't choose. Yes, okay, this is another sonnet. It's a sonnet for speech too soft and you who've yet to choose a name. And I tried to, this is like, I don't know, I think sometimes like the intersection of disability and transness, and particularly my disability of like having the relationship with words that I do felt really profound to me in the way that like the not fitting was something to be navigated. So yeah, this is a sonnet for speech too soft and you have yet to choose a name. Once, a bell tolled and tolled, and I am told does still. Once I took a man at eyes, and out his mouth a stack of breath fainted, lay still and still hot and silent at my feet. Once there was a last whisper that found me. A word, a voice, skipped like stones across a surface, split to round in circles and circles of declaration, and each one fading flat in time to meet my skin. I mean, my mother speaks to angels. I mean, today I keep the speaker out of me for long enough to watch a swallow swoon the ghost of song. I mean, that I have come to trust the sound of you, child, whatever we have yet to hear. That's that poem. Okay, I'm going to read one more poem. Maybe I want to read something I wrote today. I don't know if it's, it's maybe a little sad. I think sometimes, I think that if you're feeling okay right now, then that's amazing, and I'm so glad. And I think that if you're not feeling okay tomorrow, or yesterday, or today, then that's like also, there's so much reason. And I think, yeah, last night I had like a night of feeling like, I guess like feeling the rock of what's happening right now in my body in a way that that was like a new rock, Yeah. So this is there. It's called Every Hard Night I Get Through is Another Lesson in How to Get Through a Hard Night. I dip a stone in the ocean and place it beneath my tongue. Close my eyes. I make the night my own, at least. Every hard night I get through is another lesson in how to get through a hard night. Every hard night I come to
I think we're having issues hearing
is another hard night.
Can you start from the beginning?
I place a stone beneath my tongue. I run my tongue along a stone and along another stone, along a stone 3 times, along the oldest stone. First one. The first that I pulled like teeth from me. Kept like a haunting mother. I forget the way that loneliness can pulse and tide a vast and cratered self like an organ sprouting depths enough to build a whole lifetime from. I run my teeth along each stone. I give them names. Every night I get through and how to get through.
Did folks hear the audio? Can folks in the chat hear the audio?
Can you hear me?
It was a bit delayed, but I think it was saying that it got picked up with the captions. But you want to just repeat? Do you usually want to reread it one more time just so we can make sure we got it? I just want to make sure we have the last poem.
Sure.
Technology, right? I mean, like technology never, wouldn't end it.
Yeah. It's working now, right?
Yeah, it's working now. It's perfect.
Okay. My sweet roommates just offered me their.
Oh, they're so
Thanks, roommates. Okay. Yeah, this is called Every Hard Night I Get Through is Another Lesson in How to Get Through a Hard Night. I dip a stone in the ocean and place it beneath my tongue. I close my eyes. I make the night my own, at least. Every hard night I get through is another lesson in how to get through a hard night, but every hard night I come to is another hard night. I place a stone beneath my tongue. I run my tongue along a stone, and along another stone, and 3 times along the oldest stone I pulled like teeth from me, and kept like haunting mothers. And there are moments, months, sometimes even whole hours I forget the way that loneliness can pulse and tide, as vast and cratered as an organ sprouting depths enough to fill a whole lifetime. I run my teeth along each stone. I give them names. Every hard night I get through is another lesson in how to get through a hard night. I run my teeth along each stone. And the lesson is the same. You have this stone. And this is the way the land was born. That's it. Thanks, y'all. That was really fun.
Wow, well, what an amazing weekend. Wow. I feel like I was just literally thinking, I was like, I feel so blessed to be in a time where I live with my favorite poets. Like, some, like, my favorite poets, I live in the same time period of them, and I just, like, every time I, wow, just, I feel so thankful and so blessed. So, thank you, everyone, for reading and for, sharing your story and for sharing stories and doing this work. I really, as a person who is amongst community with you all, I feel so thankful that these joy shows up in different ways, right? I think that one thing that I just heard throughout your reading is joy. I was talking to someone the other day, and I was joy isn't the absence of other emotions, right? I think that you can still be sad and joyful. You can still I think there are a lot of emotions are in tandem, and so thank you for sharing that. And I guess right now I feel a good point, and also so now folks can take themselves off mute. We can be it's pretty much just the conversation aspect, and just we can just still obviously if there's something loud in the background, feel free to take yourself off to put yourself on mute, but feel free to jump in at any point. But I kind of just want to start off with I don't know the world we're in right now. I know I feel it feels weird to start off with anything but that, I feel and particularly I kind of want to start off with I remember I was writing down in just the ways we think about disability, right? I think Torn, you brought up a really great point about these modalities of putting disabilities in these boxes, right? And I guess I kind of want to start with just right now where access is being defined in this way that is still an like pushing people out, right? Pushing people to the margins further, right? Without like giving them access to healthcare, access to funds and different things like that. Like, I guess right now is, where are you at right now? I guess I just want to kind of open that up and like, where are you? I know some people talk about how like it was tough to write right now. Like how do you even write in a present that feels like it's daily shifting, right? But also a lot of people are talking about how this time feels like just a macrocosm of a fight that's always been going on, right? So I guess if anybody wants to start about just like where you are at and like how are you feeling in this conversation of access and accessibility as it pertains to COVID-19.
Well, I'll just say, as a person with lupus, like they took my meds almost immediately to give to people who didn't have lupus. So, and then they didn't tell anybody it was a lupus med. I've been on hydroxychloroquine for 10 years. And, you know, immediately, as soon as the president started saying it on TV, talking about hydroxychloroquine, I knew there was going to be a shortage, but it was like right by my birthday. And I was like, I'm already having a quarantine birthday, so I'm like not going to look it up. But by the time I called my doctor that Monday, there were already shortages and they were like ready to deny people. People had already been denied. And nobody really knows what happens. But, you know, you heard from insurance companies like for 40 days, so you know, you probably won't have a problem. I mean, it's a medication that suppresses flares in people with lupus. So it's essentially like, you can have a seizure, other people should be alive and not you. So I can't think of a community who was hit more immediately than folks who took that drug, because they like literally seized our medication, and now Trump has offended the place where 50% of hydroxychloroquine comes from, and they may not deal with this any longer. So, you know, I did not have the option to have like a quiet quarantine, because immediately after the quarantine started, I went from fighting for my life because of COVID to like fighting literal pharmacists and doctors to not cut me off my life-sustaining medication that I have literally done really anything you can think of to stay on for the last 10 years. And I've often had to choose between medication and food and chose medication, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's real.
Thank you for sharing. We'll not be one for
Yeah. I think in a different correlation, I keep thinking, you know, when I saw that on Twitter, and I think Timothy had mentioned it, somebody put in like Corona care, I'm gonna get my novel, and I was like, I'm on conference calls and Zooms with chosen family who are panicked, who are currently using ventilators and will have them taken away. Yes, people with lupus, people who live with MS, whose prescription medicines are being threatened, you know, to disclose, which is an obligation to do. But, you know, I'm diabetic, I'm deeply asthmatic, I have chronic bronchitis, I've had pneumonia, high blood pressure, and I'm trans, you know? So, you know, the conversations I'm having right now is literally with my chosen family, like, what are our advanced directives? Who's our proxy? Have you done a will and testament? Do you have a care kit to take with you? One of the Know Your Rights trainings, you know, led by Black, Indigenous, POC, disabled people, and fat people was like, carry a packet with you of a photo of you being hugged by somebody so you look more human, right? Like, this is what my community is doing right now. So I'm sorry, like, all my spoons are planning. And if a poem comes, then bless it. Like, I'm so thankful, but I haven't had the energy because I'm literally holding space. And also, you know, I can't leave my house at all. Like, I can't go during our time together, my mutual aid person's like, got your groceries. You know, like, the level of privatization that's going to happen after this is just devastating. And I also I'm trying to find solace in the sick, disabled, spoonie toolkits that we have created together. But it's, I think now I'm noticing how heinously wealth gap and able gap and like race gap, right? Like, if you're talking about Chicago, Cook County Jail, you know, those are the highest cases. That's mostly what Black women and Latinx folks, you know? Like, what is it? Israel is buck taking out COVID testing in East Jerusalem for Palestine. Right? So this is a time where many people, multiply, are deeply vulnerable and now being heinously targeted. You know, like we could talk about it extensively, but me on a personal note, like I feel like, yeah, you know, my book just came out March 12th, you know, at the cusp of a state of emergency. But my state of emergency was like, I'm on Medicaid. How do I get 3 months of my meds so I don't have to go into Dwayne Reed? You know, like, so for me, the poetry is everywhere, and it's not my priority. Like, it's my priority because I want to be with you all and learn and hope with you all, and it's what's fed me. And COVID has impacted how I'm being fed in multiple ways, but it's steady skill sharing and mourning and trying to find hope and emergent strategy every day.
Mm-hmm. I think, sorry, go ahead, Tori, you go ahead.
It's that two-sided issue, right? It's like, on one hand, like stuck in a capitalist system where like, if being a poet is in a capitalist system your job, like, this is labor, this is how we're supposed to, like, this is how we're supporting ourselves. And like, it's impossible to do work right now. Like, I'm struggling to do the thing that is how I pay my bills, how I pay for food. I mean, I'm in a place right now where I'm extremely lucky and privileged to be in grad school, to have what I have not had before, of having stable health care, of having, like, what is a starvation wage, but is the most money I've made in my life. Like, I'm still far below the poverty line, but it's the most money I've ever made. To be in, like, what for me is a very privileged position right now, to be still getting a paycheck and to be able to work from home. But like, also, I can't do what is more money for me. Like, I make more money as a poet than I do as a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And to not be able to do most of that work right now because of all of the like mental effect of this. And then on the other hand, like, trying to figure out things like advanced directives, which I just found out I can't do because I have no access to courts. And in Minnesota, where I live, you have to have things like advanced directives signed off by a court. So I can get them signed by witnesses, but unless they're also signed by a court at the exact same time as the witnesses signed, they're not legally binding, so they wouldn't be.
Real quick, do you mind, just for like people who don't know, do you mind defining what advanced directives are? Just like say a little bit about it if you don't mind.
Okay, I think you could probably define this more succinctly and better than I could.
I don't think so, Tori. But I do, you know, in essence, I want to say, hold on. Let me try to find spoony language for it. That's not legally. It's basically like when you have legal documents that allow you to state your decisions of your end of life care. This is in a case of where you're unconscious, you're not able to verbally or physically give a sign or acknowledge, say, the medical staff. This gives you a way to talk to your, to share with your family, medical staff, friends, healthcare professionals, to like usher confusion. So if, you know, let's say, some people say, okay, if there's a point of intubation, if I get the privilege to be intubated because they want to eugenically take that away, here's my advanced directive. State by state, it's different on what is real. Just like wills, right?
Yeah,
state by state.
Sometimes called your living will as well.
Yeah, living will. So if I'm like, yes, I'm like, spite everybody, go all in, intubate me. If I have access to those things, live it, fight for it. Other people may say, actually, no, that's not something I'm interested in. But that's like supposed to be the legal word bond. So if I'm unconscious or I can't give some kind of consent, that is my living will of consent.
But like, I mean, also like, so I can't do that on a legal level, or like access to medical care, right now trans care is fine on one level, but like I just got my meds switched, which changes my blood pressure. And I'm being evaluated for conditions right now where blood pressure changes can cause clot risk. I'm being evaluated for POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardic disorder, which means that like movement can cause changes in blood pressure, which causes me to pass out, which can cause seizures, which can cause a bunch of other problems. So if my meds are causing blood pressure issues, that's a huge problem. I had a doctor cancel testing for my blood pressure because they didn't want me going into a hospital. So I'm having doctors cancel potentially life-threatening testing without checking with my other doctors and completely ignoring me when I try and talk to them about it. And this is so incredibly common, is the complete lack of any faith in like chronically ill and disabled people, particularly people at like different levels of marginalization and at multiple levels of marginalization about what we know we're experiencing. And so like that is even more layered on right now.
Thank you so much. Tim, I didn't want to cut you off. You better jump in there.
Yeah, I was just gonna echo a lot of what folks were saying, just about like how the state is just trash, and like I guess what I've been reflecting on is like you feel like this is like a microcosm of like a larger problem that's been happening. Like I always go back to the work of HIV/AIDS, like HIV and AIDS activists, and the conversations we've been having for years around how the state interacts with disease in our bodies, and how it's so often painted as like a interpersonal problem. Like the reason why we have an epidemic is because of what people do, which is really like antithetical to what constitutes epidemic. Like this, epidemic can never be created just by what people do. It's always by like structural, like the way in which people live. So yeah, it's messing me off about how like so much of these conversations have been happening, but it's been ignored. And even to now, which is like the most ridiculous, there's people saying like, oh, if you're risking exposure, you should be thrown into jail, which is like reminiscent to HIV criminalization, but like literally only exacerbated disease has never helped to like mobilize it, ever like neutralize it, ever, right? So, but we're still trying to think we can police our way through this, which makes zero fucking sense. And just like those conversations that are just happening constantly and still not being listened to is like driving me.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a great point, which I think each of y'all has like really touched on, and that I want to really highlight is that like personal capability is not outside of your identities, right? Like I think people forget that like you are not one of your identities to be the other, right? Like I think each of them like build or like are a part of it's not a quite like binary, right? They're all one, right? The one thing people forget about is that like, you know, like people are like, oh well, like how you like treat this, like well, how you treat racism, how you treat this stuff. And I'm like also like experiencing things one, right? And I think like and like to be black and disabled or to be a person of color disabled is a whole different kind of experience, right? But I think that I look back like even like also another thing that y'all talked about and again is that like it's not just about like the physical nature of it, right? Like even though there's a big the mental aspect of like having to constantly advocate to a system or in a system that like has ignored, right? It's not even just like like we're gonna just like not listen. It's a will for ignoring people, right? Like other people asking for assistance, right? And I look back on like growing in middle school and high school and elementary school, and like being told that like, oh no, you're too much. Like, oh, like what you're going through is like, we actually have a curriculum that's supposed to fit for everyone. And if you really like this extra bit of care, right, that you have to be more, when you're asking for, like, you're claiming equity, right? Like you're asking for. I don't think that equity is a better word than equality, right? Like for human beings, right? And like and just to keep pushing the discussion, how y'all been reacting to these, I guess, like, how, like, everyone said that, like, oh, like, you have captions on this thing, but, like, we couldn't get a way for you to be at our venue, or a way for you to be in our class, and yet, in, like, this, like, everyone's been like, oh, we can do this thing online, we can, like, figure one out, and, like, I don't know, like, y'all, like, yeah.
Well, the thing for me is that for many marginalized communities are also medicalized communities, right? Like to be Black is also to be medicalized, right? Like the assumption of Black mediocrity is a medicalized assumption. The fact that Black students are often pushed into special ed programs, like that again is medicalization. When trans people access the ADA because of like gender dysphoria or to access like gender confirmation surgery, like we are medicalized bodies, right? But people only care about being medicalized when it is harming them. Like when people are actively benefiting from the ADA, they actually do not necessarily care as much as when somebody is like, okay, everybody go into their house, right? And so it can mean that people who are benefiting from the ADA feel better than disabled, right? And don't feel the need to include us meaningfully. And so watching now, right, people living the lives that we have essentially doomed so many of us too, right? I'm alone all the time. Like before we went to quarantine, like I had to have a surprise surgery because I got an infection in my face and I was alone for a month. Before that, I had a lupus flare, so I was alone. I haven't seen nobody for real since the end of January. That's the honest to God truth. You know what I mean? So thinking about people talking about being, inside for 3 weeks and this is a whole reality for them. That's not my reality. But I also think that it highlights sort of just the callousness of people with no underlying illnesses or disabilities, because like, while, like obviously like criminalization of illness like helps no one, hurts everyone, will come back to you. Like there's just no positive side about that in any way. And additionally, like watching your community like callously just be like, I ain't wearing no mask, I'm gonna do exactly what I was gonna do. I don't fucking, it's like, it really is the same, I don't fucking care if you die. Like, go ahead and die, And like that was
sorry, go for it.
Hard for me. Like that the fact that there's no way to stop people from doing that, and that like criminalization is unethical, doesn't work, anti-Black, et cetera, it's like a million different things, and on top of that it's ineffective. And the fact that people cannot be guilted, especially in like queer ideas of what it means to be shamed, right? So like the idea that me being like, hey, that's fucked up and wrong, and you should feel bad about that, is the same as being like oppressed somehow, makes it even more difficult to think of like how we will get people to care about it.
Right, I wanted to jump on that. Around the idea of like I was saying like before, like trying to police a disease is the dumbest shit. And it's such an American like construct, this idea of like white, it's like white man America. This idea of like, oh, I'm gonna take Rona on. This idea like I'll fight Rona. Like as if you can shoot a fucking disease. And it's that like sort of thinking that leads to so much of what we experience around this violence. This idea that we can shoot, we can regulate, get to prison, anything that attacks America, and that is the American way. To go on the point around like the idea of shame, I don't think shame is useful, and telling us at risk by not wearing a mask is not shaming them, right? But I think it's really also important to realize like this moment is it's like ridiculous, and it's so like This moment is so outrageous and it's so outside of like how we should be living. And part of that, a huge part of that reason is because of the government that decided to ignore so much of precautions that could be done for us. So now what's happening is that the onus for our safety is being pushed back onto us, when our like exposure and our like the very reason of why we're unsafe is like this entire fucking situation. My word's not working, but this entire fucking world is the reason why. So like trying to get people to catch up to that quicker is partly how infighting happens. So I think holding each other accountable, but also acknowledging that this is a ridiculous situation, and like it is hard to not go see your like friend. It is hard to not go see your family, and I understand that. I understand the reason why we're in this situation is not of you, but also we have to try to call you in. So it's like so much extra work we have to do to acknowledge outside forces, but also try to keep ourselves accountable. And that's like a conversation I'm trying very hard to be mindful of when I want to like kind of snap on the people closest to me for their decisions. Yeah.
I would like to chime in if possible.
Yes, just 1 second, just because we're gonna wrap up in like 5 minutes. So I feel like this is a good place to end. But one question I want to throw out there, just as like a wrap up, is just like I really want to bring in this point because y'all all talk about love in this really beautiful way about like how like I wrote down. Let me see. Sorry, 1 second. I remember this question like, how has proper love saved you? I remember like y'all just like talking about like either like just relationships, friendships, like some type of like connection to a person who, because I use understand in such a like I really hold understand for its weight, and I really think that like there's nothing like a love that understands you, right? Like a love that that like for lack of another term, like feels you, right? Like every aspect, like daily, not just in joy, but in all of it. And I just want to like throw that out there to be like, what, like, how is that? Not, and I wouldn't say save, right? Like I think save is like such a heavy word, but I think like how has it changed your way of viewing a future, of viewing a present, right? And I just want to throw that out.
Yes. I feel so. I'm gonna try to connect the two just very fast. One is, to get back on what Timothy and Surrey were saying about, I just feel like abled and fit people who are of wealth, who have access to like, who maybe have not faced this level of institutional oppression, have this now new foray about what they think being sick is, or being disabled is. Like, oh my God, I can't go to the gym. Oh my God, what do we do? How do we work out at home? And I'm like, this is your biggest issue, okay? It's cool. For me, I think what this time has brought me has really buoyed me is really knowing who my people are. Like before pre-pandemic, I'm in medical debt. I mean, as a trans person, are you kidding me? Like every time I see a doctor, it's like, what are my pronouns? Let's misgender them. Let's talk about my body and my parts in ways that are shitty. Okay, I'm Asian American. What does that mean? In my white proximity, what does that mean in this space, right? Like, so for me, all of this was happening pre-pandemic. And now I'm like, hey, able people, welcome. I think migrants and undocumented people have been saying too, like, oh, you can't see your family when somebody dies. Oh, you don't have access to XYZ. Like, oh, welcome. So I think for me, this time has been really instrumental and really holding folks who have shown up as accomplices, who I don't have to train, who know how they can be positioned and how they selflessly, but also in a movement, understand interconnection, right? And understand access intimacy. It's heightened that. The skills that were already there, right? We know that the state will not protect us. It's showing us. We'll take away equipment. We'll have Christian hospital sites in the middle of New York City that are homophobic and anti-Black, right? We know this. So for me, it's like, oh, who are these people? Who are the folks who will hold me when I'm just on the floor grieving? Who will hold me being like, how am I doing advanced directives right now? Who will hold me being like, wow, if I'm even seen in a hospital, how much will that cost? And for peers or trans folks to be like, hey, we'll figure it out, right? We'll figure it out. We have blueprints. Our ancestors are sick, disabled, of color, trans, Black, Indigenous, POC, have blueprints. We can try. That's all we can do, breath by breath. And I think hearing that has been very instrumental for me.
Thank you so much. Does anyone else want any last thoughts for like about 3 more minutes? You want to add anything to the space or just say anything?
I don't have much to add outside of what I said. I'll just say I just loved this space. Big up to you, Golden, for this thoughtful assortment of people, and just the series in general. I'm excited to continue to listen and learn from all of the people you brought together, as well as you. So thank you for this.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I want to say thank you too. And I'm also like still thinking about the idea that shame doesn't work. I grew up in the church. I grew up evangelical, and I know that shame actually does work, right? And like I feel like what it is that queers feel like shaming someone isn't like inherently unethical, and that's why we say shame does not work. But like if it's up against like you feeling bad because you're doing something unethical and someone dying, like I don't know. Like I really don't know where we come down on that. And I feel like we're gonna actually have to at some point think of like what is effective to keep people from literally dying, because I can think of so many times in like queer community, which is actually the reason I don't identify personally as queer, where like, for instance, being like shamed when I am experiencing physical violence with my partner and being told simultaneously not to call the cops and knowing I can't call anyone else. Shame absolutely worked, man. Shame works a lot, and queers use it a whole lot. And it seems like whenever it is someone who has less power who needs someone to be held to account through the power of feeling fucking bad, then it doesn't work. But when it's somebody who needs to be not held to account, then all of a sudden shaming somebody with less power works. And so I really want, like, as we think about how we're going to respond to this and what kind of interpersonal tools we actually have to make sure that we do not lose a generation, like you think about what tools are actually in our tool bag in order to.
I'm not shaming individual people to fight. I'm speaking for HIV, to fight an epidemic doesn't work. It's like because an epidemic is not created by individual folks' actions, right? It's created by a systemic and like the way in which they live. It's created by the systems in which they govern their lives, right? Which they don't always have a they don't have like a say in that, right? So shaming people individually, I'm speaking specifically for disease and for pandemic epidemics. I'm not saying like for interpersonal like issues or like I'm talking about specifically for like disease. It doesn't work. And I know that for a fact just by being my work within HIV for as many years I've done. It doesn't. It's always used as like the best way to like attack it, because if only you weren't doing this one thing, that wouldn't happen. Like that's not real. So I'm not saying shame in the sense of like every like I'm still in like the queer community and like, oh, I'm so against shame, like we cannot publicly attack anybody, that's so bad. Like I'm not saying that. I'm saying in the sense of like disease, from my experience, it doesn't work.
And I also think that both, like hearing both of you, I think y'all are also talking about, I think Saray, you brought up the point about accountability. When both of y'all use those terms, it seemed like it like fit better. I think that like accountability, I think sometimes like Saray, what you're talking about is like shame comes with accountability sometimes, and like telling people like, oh, you shouldn't leave your house because you could you shouldn't leave your house, but like you could kill someone, right? Like with your actions by not choosing to like listening to like the stay inside, like state, like you could put someone at risk, like what we saw with the man who was riding the bus, and you know he later passed away, and people were saying there are videos about him being on a bus and like people were coughing on him, like and like he was talking about how like this is like a lot of people like that's the only way to get to work, and they still have to work, and like those things. And I think Tim, you're talking about this how shame has been used against a lot of people in the HIV community, and how like that has not been a way to even like approach the topic, because it has like canceled a lot of people out in the shaming. And I think and like a lot of things we talk about in like all of our communities, and like trying to And I don't want to use that, like, I'm not going to say to call people and call people out. I think that's, like, kind of, like, lame when people say that.
But we could say, I can like, make myself more clear. I feel like what shame does oftentimes, we're, like, working around interpersonal, like, how we call people in and all that, it erases structural vulnerability very often. And I've seen that happen so very much in HIV activism. It ignores, like, not to say that we can't hold people accountable, we can't, like, tell people that's fucked up or whatever. I'm not against that, but I'm saying shame as a practice for, like, eradicating disease, eradicating, like, large sweep of, like, people dying, I don't think it's useful in that sense.
Because of the amount of time and we're women and over, so I just want to be cognizant of everyone's time. I want to thank everyone who offered and, like, gave to the space today. I really appreciate it. And I don't know, when I was writing this series, I think this is the first one I wrote down in particular because it means so much to me. And it's something that, like, I haven't been able to talk about in, like, a space that I felt like that was trying to open up, like, avenues of this conversation. And this time I, like, come in into contact with you all's work, I it's like that way where you're transported outside of just what you're saying. And I feel so lucky and blessed to be able to listen to you all just, like, thank you so much. The last thing I'll say is that thank you to our city partners again, to the art and culture, the and to the mayor's office for advancement. Thank you so much for the partnership. And I think that's pretty much it. We'll follow up on that thing with posting the links to people's work and different ways you can find them. But most importantly,